The internal development platform is a tool to provide focus for development on what they are doing, find more balance between what the development needs and the business needs, and provide engineer with governance and curate focus on set of workflows that we are developing for them.
So you're basically pissing off developers because when they want to bring on their own tools, you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Hi, Henrik. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Dell?
Hello, so I am a Dell, an architect, a member of the distinguished member of technical staff. I am working at Dell for the last 10 years, been here in many positions, and currently I am an architect in a TechOps organization, and I'm one of the leading architects in a internal development platform that we're building for our internal development teams.
That's cool. That is a phrase that I have heard before. So can you tell us a little bit about what is a internal development platform?
The internal development platform is a tool to provide focus for development on what they are doing, find more balance between what the development needs and the business needs, and provide engineer with governance and curate focus on set of workflows that we are developing for them.
So you're basically pissing off developers because when they want to bring on their own tools, you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, we have a set of tools, and only those tools you can use them. You can try to bring your own tool, but you'll use our tools. But that's
So,
okay.
so is there like a request process where people can say, hey, I found this really cool tool, love to introduce it. Can you vet it? Can we add this?
Sure, we're always out for the innovation, and we're looking out on new stuff that is coming up. We understand that the world is changing all the time, and it's progressing, and we need to catch up with that. And if it's fitting our needs, or it's solving some issue that we're facing, we are definitely adopting that. We are an open platform, so any new tool can be integrated. At such a manner. But yeah, we are open for any suggestion. We're investigating. We are putting a lot of effort, especially me, in acquiring and do proof of concept for new tools and bring them to the platform and to distribute that and sharing them with our development teams and make their life, I hope, much more easier.
Yeah, that's of course the goal. Dev experience is definitely something that a lot of companies are working towards. And it definitely sounds like a big lift on your part. Can you maybe walk us through some of the challenges that you faced when putting together this sourcing it or enforcing it across your organization? Can you talk a little bit about the challenges and your suggestions or tips for anyone who out there is looking to also go in this direction of a centralized internal development platform?
Yeah, sure. And this process was not it's one day process. It's a long process that we identified a few years ago, and we started this journey like more than 2 years ago. And we started by uh, finding champions in our organization in order to understand which personas will work with us in order to bring exactly tailor-made solutions to our development bodies, and getting an agreement with everybody that everybody will be on board to go to such a process. And after that, we did an extensive research inside of what's going on, what tools are we using, how much overlapping between the processes are between all our customers, internal customers. And we find out that 90% of the people are doing the same thing, but a little bit different. And that was the challenge, actually, to bring everybody on the same page and agree that everybody will adopt and will lose those 10% of uniqueness in order for a massive and get more benefits from a platform and with much more rapid deliveries to them than each business unit can generate by themselves. So that those are the things. And then we go on to a planning phase. We plan all those things, and we're still planning, but we're still developing that platform. And of course, the last thing is the adoption, but it's the adoption and planning. It's always, it's a life cycle. It's we are delivering, getting feedback, and continue with all those. So those are the first step that we took in order to start this process and driving this massive boat to to set some goals, to some common goals for everybody, and to start working with them. And yeah, so that's
so I'm assuming in an organization like Dell, doing that across multiple locations is even more of a challenge. And then just trying to get everyone on the same page is just something that is for yourself, I can imagine, is maybe what's taking processes like this a while. Can you tell us a little bit about your tips for that?
yeah. So we have challenges both internally in our development teams and also with our customers, as Dell is a global company and we are spread out all over the time zones. All time zones we have development. We have development from China to the east-west coast of the United States. So it's almost 23 hours of development. It's going on here 6 days a week. And internally, the challenges is the communication between the teams and make sure that the knowledge is shared between them. And if new features are coming up, everybody knows about those. And because we internally also support our platform, also are the support team. So if something was developed in one part of the world, the support team in other part needs to know about it and how to support it or how to fix it. And all those knowledge transfer is something that we are really working hard on that. So we'll give our developers the best experience, and they will feel that there is no void, behind the system. There is somebody to hear them, help them, promote them, and they can count on us. Because as any other product, if you are not a good product, your customers will drop you. So we need internally to give our best to them. It's a big organization. We are supporting more than 100 products and with 15,000 developers on our platform. So it's a big operation that we need to support and to facilitate for everybody else.
Yeah, I can imagine also there's concerns about security. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the security is a major point nowadays. So it's a main focus for everybody. Even if we are in fully internal on-premise solution, we are focusing and adopting all the security tooling that is out there for a SaaS platform or something like that. We are implementing it for our internal development, like scanning with Black Duck, our Docker images with Twistlock, make sure that if we have vulnerabilities, we will fix them. The secrets are stored in a vault, so nobody will be able to compromise us. Ability to rapidly change our passwords and certificates and everything else. So even if somebody will get into our system on premise, it will be still hard for them to penetrate or make damage for us, because we have a lot of power inside because we are seeing everybody. So if they will compromise us, we can compromise a lot of things inside the company. So yeah, we are really concerned about those.
And can you tell us a little bit about like, is there like an endpoint where you create sort of not a security endpoint, but like the point where you say, okay, we've developed the internal development platform. There's a milestone, and that's it. We've achieved it for now. We'll wait for, I don't know, if the next change in the technology, or is there room for constant innovation, adapting? Is this something that you have to be constantly on par with everything that's changes in the industry?
It's always changing. We are working 2 years, but we are still learning inside, and we are constantly improving our own systems and always adopting new technologies inside that we are seeing that are changing outside. We integrate with new systems. We are providing new services to our customers. So if they are requesting, like, we need a new checker that will check our code during the CI/CD processes, we will integrate that and we'll expose that to the entire company. So that's what's great about IDP, is that one request from one customers, we are now exposing it to everybody. So now everybody can take advantage of it, and we are making it very easy to onboard to our system. It's very easy. It's not a long process. It's take a little bit of time, but it's quite in a few days, entire organization can be onboarded on our systems. And from then on, they can take advantage of all our goodies that we're giving them, integration with third-party tools, CI/CD pipelines, a lot of other stuff that we are doing. They can take advantage, methodologies, development life cycles and stuff like that we are supplying to them, and many other services. It's like, sometimes we are giving them like professional services in accelerating builds sometimes, or improving their builds, and in the others, so improving security and stuff like that. So we have a core professional consultants in our specialists that we can now share with many products.
That's really cool. So I want to touch on that last point that you mentioned. There's the IDP, which is the platform, and then you have a professional services sort of arm to your organization. And you mentioned acceleration. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is for your organization, how that ties into the IDP?
Yeah, so one of the main spending time that a developer is doing is spending except coding, but also building his code now in something that he can run and deploy after that. So that part, many times it's very tedious. It's just and it's taking time, and many times it is not optimized. So we have we were able to bring in from many product groups a team of experts in many languages. So part of them in Java, part of them in C++, in Dockers, in Go, and now we can help them to accelerate those parts that usually sometimes are taking a lot of time. So if it's taking 2 or 3 minutes, maybe it's okay, but there are times that it can take hours, and that's really frustrating for developers. One of our tasks in the last year was, can we really improve the acceleration for C++ based software? So I led a team of developers from a few product groups that they are coding in C++, into a proof of concept, actually like a research more, that what kind of tools are there outside, and then let's find one that can help us to really accelerate our code and give faster feedback for developers and shorten the times of the life cycle, how fast they can deliver their code. And we really brought, and we think that it was like 5 tools overall that we used, and some of them were open source, like CC Cache and Dcache. And then also we looked at the commercials one, like Electric Cloud from Cloudbase, and then we also saw the Incredibuild accelerator. And we did really, we took 3 different products, and we run all the tools about them. Actually, we tried to run those, and not in all cases we were able even to run tools. In some of the cases, it took too long to implement, and in other cases, it just didn't work. And it took us like a few months with all those teams, and we really did comprehensive performances to really to understand really where our builds are. And by the end of this process, we found out that Incredibuild gave us the most benefit for what we are looking for. It was easy to implement, it was easy to use, easy to understand. The developers loved the feedback that they got into it. The support we really liked the support. We got a wonderful support for the team. And also we can supply the Incredibuild as a solution, or as an internal solution. It's not only this product group needs to use it and they will do their implementation by themselves, and then another one will take another thing. So we'll need to do the same implementation again and host their own servers. What we proposed and we did is we created a farm of machines, and that farm can be shared between anybody that wants to use it. They only need to embed the Incredibuild inside their build process and build system, and then use our platform. And as we are growing, we can just add in the background more and more compute, and that's, and then it's very easy to onboard the new customers, new project, and to use that. And they don't need to understand anything. So that's one of our goals in the IDP is grow and give services on top of what the traditional DevOps are doing, that usually they are embedded inside the teams, but they are not scaling. Now we are scaling. We think big. We think like, oh, this is a nice, very good solution. Let everybody. And I'm working now to try to bring in more and more people to this platform, because we are really seeing benefits. We saw at the beginning like 40% improvement just out of the box, and not only improvement in the time, but we also improve the code of the build. The build system itself was improved based on the feedback that we got from the system. The system said, this is taking you too long. We went there, take a look and say, well, really, we have here like code that is not really optimized. We optimized the code, we got even better. So it is not only that it's speed up the processes, it speed up the process, but it's also improving the code. It's giving you good hints on how to do better things to improve yourself. So it was really a good proof of concept from our point of view. I like it very much because it's just not, just the regular thing.
That's super cool. And so through the IDP and the professional services that you offer, how do you measure success?
So measuring success is a challenge for everybody. It's not a new thing. We are trying currently to measure through Dora. There are Dora metrics that we are trying to implement. It's okay. But I think that the best thing to see that if we are successful or not is actually how many of our services are used by our customers. So even that we have 100 and plus products on the platform, but if we will see like only 3% of them using actually what we're offering, then something is wrong there. But if we see currently we have something like 40 between 45 to 50% of our services are used end to end, like so I think that is a very good number, but I think that we need to work more. So it's not enough to have a platform, and even it's not good enough to bring everybody to the platform. Now you need to make really sure that they are using it and they can capitalize on the platform, and they can benefit of what's we are giving them. And if they are not using it, then we are asking the question why they are not using it, and maybe we need to drop that because it just it's not relevant. We thought it is. Maybe it's relevant for one or two customers, and that's a corner case. And then we are going all the time. We have a new team now that is called a customer engagement team. So they will be our front end, like a product maybe in a real world, and they will bring us in, the request, and they will try to do this bridging between the development team and the customers. Until now, we did it, and this is what we get. But we need also to develop. We don't have also time to go product. But now, because we're bigger and we are now, I think, like almost 95% of the products in our organization are onboarded to the system. Now it's the question is that let's bring up the utilization, the usage of the system, and that are now creating other challenges for us, like scalability. That's our next things now. Okay, everybody is now, but if everybody will use everything, can we really give them, the same experience as like 10%? And that's the next challenge that we needed. And our platform, we designed the platform in thinking big. Okay, it's not like we started small and now we are having issues with scalability. No, it was by design for scaling. What does that mean? Scale for us is that each product group, we are calling them tenants. So each tenant of it has its own resources and its own product, a set of all our services built in, and all those services are only serving him. So if he is growing, those services will grow, but it will not come on expenses of other customers. So we have all those tenants, and each one has dedicated resources. And if we see that they are growing, we can automatically add more resources for them. So this is how we are scaling. This is putting in security in place, because each customer has its own set of users, passwords, whatever. They cannot cross between them. Also high availability, because now if we have an issue with one customer, it's not impacting another customer. So everything in the architecture is scalable, it's redundancy, so we cannot have an issue with in one corner that will bring the entire organization 15,000 people to stop working is a massive, massive issue for, we cannot afford to us something like that. So
Yeah.
we are working in smaller chunks, tenants, and if we have an issue, it's only impacting them. So this is how is the architecture based is for us.
Interesting to hear the challenges and what the company's trying to do, and then all the different things you're getting involved in. I think that's what makes being an architect fun, right? Because you're bridging the business needs and the technology requirements, and then what does my internal customer need versus my external? Oftentimes you think like an architect, you have to say, I got to think 2 to 3 years ahead as well, maybe and sometimes up to 5. But how do I keep this technology flexible while I'm implementing the solutions, right? And I think that's part of the fun, but also a huge challenge of being an architect, because all these migrations and designs are complex. You have all these different domains you were talking about. Well, I got to look at the infrastructure. I've got security. I've definitely with security, and then I have to go talk to the developers and figure out what are they doing, right? So you have this massive approach to a migration and a technical shift when you are saying, hey, we're going to go to a centralized platform to service things globally. And I know you've talked and hinted at some of the challenges you've gone through, but I'm curious, could you break it down? Maybe some, for our listeners, some common do's and don'ts that you've learned through your process with this and your experience of just when you're transforming that technical stack. Hey, you might want to be aware of, you want to do this, or you definitely don't want to do that. Just things that could impact, that impart to our listeners that would have impact for them.
We had such an experience just recently, like half a year ago. We had a huge migration from one platform to one Kubernetes platform to another. We moved from Rancher-based Kubernetes platform to a Tanzu on-premise, and we really had our doubts and challenges about this process. And the first thing that we thought that the challenge is to migrate to the new platform as a platform. And in the process of moving to the new platform, we also jumped like 5 Kubernetes versions. But
yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's a wow. But actually, Kubernetes is pretty good with backward compatibility. So we didn't hit hard on those. And that was not really the hard point. The more complicated or challenging part was actually our own deployment scripts. And because we are so massive and so big, and we needed now to move to our new platform, and we found out that actually we have a lot of hard-coded stuff in our script. And because another thing, it was when we started this project, we were not so experts in Kubernetes. So we did a lot of mistakes. And everybody had administrators privileges on the Kubernetes cluster. So everybody was able to deploy whatever they like. And we're missing a lot of things. Knowledge of how to do things, scripts, deployment files. So because everything it was deployed manually or from somebody's laptop, we're missing code, actually. So one of the things that we did is we said this cannot go on. So and one of the first things that we did on the new platform was let's harden the security and the permissions. So now we have an RBAC set up that we have administrators roles and user roles and read-only roles. So that's one thing that we did. Another thing is rewrite all our deployment files. We gone from something that it was a XML-based files that is very manual intensive work to do all those deployments, and we moved to a JSONet. JSONet is a very powerful JSON-based deployment language, and we are taking that we took that templating language And with that, we were able to actually deploy it and make the transition very easy. But by the end of the day, we adopted the GitOps methodology. GitOps methodology is saying everything is code and everything needs to be managed in some kind of source control. So even an XML file, it's a code. You can write it, you can manage it, you can version it. So through that, we adopting that methodology give us the flexibility that we need now to run such a big operations, to scale up. And now we are just and actually we get from that audit. So any change that is made in the system needs to go through Git, through a review process. And now, if we have a failures and we need to recovery, we just need to point to the Git, and it will be recovered from Git, and not from wherever PC is missing or out of office member, and you cannot deploy. So we really did this massive change in our behavior and how do we manage our deployments. Moving to GitOps with and implementing that using Argo CD was one of our biggest game changer in managing the platform. Like from a few tenants now to 100 tenants, everything is scripted, templated, and governance through Git, regular development processes that everybody knows, and everybody can just go to the GitHub, look what's inside. If they need to change, are creating a pull request, and when you are merging, it is going, because of the Argo CD, it just pull automatically and deployed to the cluster. So in our production cluster, nobody except for 2 or 3 people can really deploy something manually. No command line, nothing, zero. It's like it's really locked down. Only the automation, the Argo CD itself, is pulling the changes in Git and applying them to the cluster. That's it. No manual work. Nobody can change. You can view, you can look what's going on. You can look at logs, you can look at configuration, what's going on, but only read-only. Nobody can just do something there. So now we are really stable in what's going on. It's those days that who changed this? When this was changed are gone.
Why did they change it? Yeah,
exactly. Well, like, and one of the good things about the Argo CD and this thing is that even if somebody is changing something, this Argo CD is like a guardian agent for us. It will detect that the cluster drifted from the configuration in Git and will apply the Git again. So in 3 minutes, anything that was changed manually is overridden. Like, so even if something is drifting, we are getting back because our source of truth is GitOps. It's Git and everything is there. So it's like we have really that improve our system. And of course, the migration itself that you asked for. The migration itself was changing folders, moving them in Git. And now by moving an application in Git from one folder to another, it was deployed from one cluster to another and was removed from one cluster to another. We didn't touch the cluster itself. We just created the PR, merged the PR, Argo CD defined, oh, I have a new application that I need to deploy on this cluster, and it was deployed. From the other cluster was removed, oh, this was removed from here. Boom, it was removed from the old cluster. And this is how we manage and we're able to follow up and to understand what's going on. And like it's very clear to everybody what it's running, where it's running. So actually that was our main challenge. It's
Okay.
really automation. GitOps, it was our savior here. This is what and that this migration and hard coded, of course. Nobody
Okay.
thought that we were moved to another cluster, and it did. And we had so many hard coded references to the cluster that were, the old cluster, and that was the challenges that we deal with it, and then just so always try not to use hard coded but parameters.
I love it. I love it. So the very first thing I heard you say on the don't give everybody Supreme Allied Commander status. Not everybody gets admin. No, we're going to nip that in the bud. And the do's, I think, is very relevant. You hear a lot of people talking about it, and it's interesting. Y'all are proof in the pudding of if you apply automation, if you get away from the, like you said, the hard coded, or it lives on this developer's laptop and this particular person's on vacation and now we can't get to that script. I think those are really strong things that can be imparted to everybody, that when you apply those processes and you take the time to do it, you're showing right now, hey, we were able to successfully move and we were able to clean all this stuff up. And now we've got things shifting clusters and it just works. So, I mean, I love the common do's and don'ts. I think you hit the nail on the head, and I loved hearing that. Which kind of flows into something that Yochai and I always like to ask is, we get into things like build tales. We like to talk with folks, just like you said, and all this stuff. We're always kind of interested in, highlighting or hearing about, wacky things that happened while you're doing all these types of things, the building of the software, how, who, what, when, where. And I think at one point we were chatting not too long ago that you actually did something that I think everybody would love to do. Looking at your background right now, right? I'm in the tropics. I got my palm trees. I'd love to be able to work on a beach. And it sounds like you may have done that where you were sitting under a palm tree. Can you kind of tell us, about your little build tale that way of, I think it involved the Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, definitely. It was a project that was for a customer in the Caribbean, and we needed to. It was 20 years ago. Then the customers many times were getting the software itself, and everybody was coming on site.
Of course, everyone wants to jump at that opportunity. Do you have any customer in the Caribbean, by the way, that you can visit?
So, but when we got on site, the customer didn't really prepare for everybody pieces to work on everything. So because I was the building and the guy that is building the software, it's really the end of the chain that before the release. I was mostly on the beach, and when they finished the coding, there was calling me up and say, can you come in, or what is the command to run the build? And I was on the beach in the Caribbean, and I was walking on the beach with myself and saying, well, you need to run make dot that dash flag like that, and now wait for 5 minutes. What is the output? Can you give it to me? And the build is okay now. You can take it from here and you can deploy it. It's like that. That was one of my funnest business trips that I had. That
I can just see that now. Yeah, what you want to do is run make dash. Hold on a minute. Yeah, another Mai Tai. Perfect. Yes, they
exactly.
lower.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
good. I like that. That adds to our wonderful, I would say, types of stories. We've had building in a truck, building in a boat. Now we have building on a tropical island.
Building on a tropical island.
Yes, which
fits
very so nicely with your background.
Yeah, to this background that I have here.
Excellent. And I think that kind of also ties in. Oh, this is going to be a real dad joke. Well, the opposite of the internal development platform. What is it? Development islands. Isn't that what they call
yeah.
them?
Oh, wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Okay.
That's a dad joke through and through.
I gave you the warning.
You did.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Henrik, thank you so much. That was really, really informative and fun. Excellent job. Appreciate it. And to our listeners, thank you, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Thank you very much hosting me here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Incredibuilt. Development never stops.